We're waiting on like 15 more families, so. Everybody, can we try and get in this section here? I think the Ankerbergs and Prices are in the last row, and then everybody else kind of up right here. You can do the chairs, pews.
I'm a front row customer. I'm going to be here for the whole time.
I might have to give you one.
Are the kids still in here?
Yes. They should sit with their families. Mom's stuff is there. She's gonna come back and forth. Mom's stuff is there. She's gonna come back and forth.
if he could sit with me.
You can ask. Yeah, try and squeeze in. You guys can use the chairs too. I know nobody likes to use the chairs, but they are available. That's way too close. All right. Hey, we need to get started. We do have a couple more families, hopefully coming still. But I do want to get started so that at 7 o'clock we can head downstairs. So I got an amen from Parker on going downstairs for Ice Cream Sundays. All right, we're going to pray and then jump in right away. Lord, we thank you for this evening and this time we can gather as families here, looking at the different family ministries we have and the importance of them in the life of our church, in the life of our homes. And I pray that you would bring some clarity and understanding to some of the ways that we do things here in the family ministries, or things that we're looking to change, or different ways that families can get involved here, and the things that we offer to hopefully equip kids, equip students and parents in ways to not only understand the gospel message but also apply it to our lives, to our homes. So we thank you for this night. Thank you for these families, and we love you. We pray this all in Jesus' name. Amen. So something just real quick, wanted to mention, just because it's obviously going to be pretty important for everybody here, is that we do have some transition happening. It's not going to work, is it? Did it change? It's probably dead. Okay. Yeah, if you don't mind. It's going to be kind of... all right, so the first thing you're going to see here is just the transition that we have coming up in family ministries with Jake coming on. Nothing's working? Okay, there we go. So just so you guys know, in June, kind of this transition that's going to happen is, obviously I'm still overseeing all the family ministries that we have, and it will be directly over Kid City. But Jake will be taking the lead on CityLink and CityView, so really the 4th through 12th grade ministries. So obviously we'll be working very closely together, and this summer really transitioning things over so that he kind of gets a big picture of things, but then starts to plan for this upcoming fall. So that's kind of the first big thing that we have coming for family ministry that will impact everybody. So obviously he's been here for quite some time now, but with this kind of full-time starting in June, we'll start to figure out ways that I'm going to communicate with you and ways that he's going to communicate with you going forward. So it's an exciting one. It's a great one for us and for our church, and we'll look forward to that transition and what's to come. So we are going to do our traditional 4 corners. Oh, now it worked. Okay. We're going to do our traditional 4 corners activity. You guys see there's 4 colors. There's 4 colors on the wall here as well. So this is going to be just something fun for us to do to really get started. Kids, you can go, if you're very uncomfortable going by yourself, you can stay with your parents. And you can decide whether you're going to answer your parents' way or your way. But here's how it's going to work. I'm going to put a question up here, and I'm going to give some answers. Whatever answer you would choose corresponds to a color on the wall. Everybody's going to go to that color, and then I've got a question I'm going to put up that I want you to find somebody, hopefully that you don't know, somebody that you can just ask that question to. Very, kind of should be hopefully some easy questions for you. So here's the first one. We're going to see. All right. Oh. There we go. All right, if you had to eat only one food every day for 1 year, what would it be? You got pizza, chicken tenders, hamburgers or cheeseburgers, and spaghetti. Right there. All right. Okay, here is the question. I'll read it so if you guys can't see it, I'll read the question. But here's the question. I want you to find somebody to talk to. Somebody to talk to in your group about this. Wow, burgers. Wow. All right. Here's the question. What is one of your favorite Bible verses or stories in the Bible? One of your favorite Bible verses or stories in the Bible. Okay. All right, here's our next question that you're going to move for. You're going to move on this one. What is your favorite season? Winter at orange, spring for pink, summer, blue, fall is green. Spring.
Baseball.
That's right.
Baseball.
It's basically called opening day, you know. All right. Poor Oliver. Poor Oliver. Somebody's going to have to go talk to Oliver. I'll go over there. Hey, why do you guys like summer?
It's the best.
No school? Okay. Here's your question. All right, I don't know. The question is, what is your favorite book of the Bible and why? Favorite book of the Bible and why? Okay. Next question, you're going to move. Got two more. Hold on. What's your favorite, what is your favorite thing to do this summer? What are you looking forward to doing this summer? Go to the pool, play sports, travel, sleep. All right, here is your question. All right, now, who is your favorite Bible story character and why? Careful, careful. I don't know. She's in the back. sleep. Watch out. Okay, last one. How long have you been attending Cityview? So 0 to a year, 2 to 5 years. Kids, find your parents. Blue, 6 to 10 years. Green is 10 plus. 10 plus. Where's mom? Right there. Parker, back there. All right. And your question is, what is your favorite thing about Cityview? Share with somebody in your group. Favorite thing about Cityview so far? Okay. Yeah, just because you guys are pink and I can hear you. All right. Everybody can go ahead, find your parents, go back, find your seat, grab a coloring page, kids, if you want, if you didn't get one. Okay, well, thank you guys for doing that. Just a little fun to kind of get to know each other a little bit more. Some fun little trivia about each one of us. One of the things that I want to do is just kind of refresh everybody's mind tonight on a few things, talk about a few things for the future, things that we'll be starting hopefully up this fall and beyond. But when I talk about refresh, the first thing that I want to remind everybody of is kind of the motto, the thing that we say here, that I say here a lot, of what we're doing in family ministries. What we hope to see is that we're raising kids, we're raising teenagers for Jesus that the world cannot ignore. And I hope, since we started kind of talking about this a few years ago, that this is something you see in your kids. Those moments where you're just like, man, we see it, other people see that there's something different about them. And we know, like, there's good days and there's bad days. But what we want to see is that progress in their life, that continued sanctification that we even talked about this morning, to see them moving in that way, to take sin seriously, to try to put that to death in their life, and then to obviously walk in obedience with Jesus. Kids, that's what we desire for you guys too, is that when you leave here one day, that you will leave prepared, equipped, loving Jesus, ready to serve him and jump in with both feet. And so that's what we want to see, and that's kind of what helps us kind of look at family ministries and say, what are the things we're going to do? What are the things that we're not going to do? They help prepare you guys to be these kinds of kids. And so it's important for you guys, kids, to be in this so that you kind of hear some of these things that we're doing and some of the changes that we're going to make. And so that when you see Jake or you see myself, you know kind of what we're hoping for every time we're with you guys, whether that's in Kid City and CityLink, City Stew, if it's in a family worship Sunday, or any other event that we do. So I want to refresh our 4 C's of family discipleship as well, specifically because I know I've given these to you guys before. You've seen them. You're going to continue to see them. There's a couple different ways that I'm going to be using these this year in some communication with you guys so that you know kind of what to expect from different events and things that we're doing. But these 4 C's are there as a framework for you in your home to say, okay, this is what we do in our home, and no matter where you are, what age your kids are, you should be able to find ways to use each one of these things in your discipleship in your home. What we're looking at tonight, though, is specifically how does our church help equip you in these different areas. Okay, so if I was to walk into your home and you said, yeah, we use the 4 C's, we think about them, we talk about them, we use them as a framework, it will look very different in your homes based off of your kids' age, based off of spiritual maturity, based off of your time, your schedule, all those kinds of things. So what we're talking about tonight is like, all right, how are we as a church trying to equip you and make sure you're taking care of each one of these, preparing yourself in these different things for your home. And so what are the different opportunities that we have to help you and your family grow spiritually? So the first one that I want to look at is consider. If you remember consider, this is for you personally as parents. In Deuteronomy, it says that in Deuteronomy 6 that we are to make sure that everything we're teaching our kids are things that are already on our hearts. These are things that we believe. And so when you look back at what I said about we want to raise kids for Jesus the world cannot ignore, if we're going to do that, that kind of means we need to be those types of people too. That we're not just coasting through the Christian life, but our kids see something different in us, and they want to emulate that. They want to be about that in their own life. And so if we're those types of parents, if the families that we're around, at school, at sports events, at different areas, that they see us differently, and parents take notice of that, kids notice it. Other parents' kids want to be at your home because they feel like it's a safe place. They feel like there's something special about it. So we as parents need to consider our own faith. Is this true in our life? Are we seeing these things? Are we seeing growth in our own life? And so what I put up here to highlight this time is our discipleship pathway, and this is something you're going to hear about even at Recall. It's kind of new language that we're using, and so we're going to have some different ways that we're going to talk about it at Recall, and then you're going to see different ways that this actually happens in our ministries and how we move people along. As we know, we are here to, we're made to magnify and sent to serve. So these 3 things, when we look at the discipleship pathways, how do we know we're becoming a disciple? What does that look like? Okay, so these 3 things. And the first one is that we learn from Jesus. A disciple is someone who learns from Jesus. And so, kids, you guys are going to get this in Kid City. You're going to get it in CityLink. You're going to get it in City Stew. You're going to continue to learn from God's Word over and over again. Learn who Jesus is. What did Jesus do for you? Why does it matter? How can you serve Him? So you're going to learn from Jesus. The second thing is we want to love like Jesus. That's what a disciple does. And the way that Jesus loves, the way that Jesus lives is the one person that we want to make sure that every day we're saying, how would Jesus do this? What did this look like in Jesus' life? And so we want to make sure that people understand that. So you, students, we want you not only to learn this stuff, but then we want to see it in your parents. We want you to see it in us here at church, in leadership. We want you to see it in the people that you're sitting in the pews with, that you can look around and say, oh, these people love Jesus, and I want to be like that too. Right? We want to walk like Jesus walked, which means he lived differently and he loved differently. And then finally, disciples are those who lead for Jesus. And so kids, maybe you're thinking like, well, I'm not a leader, but you can be, right? You can be. In your group of friends, who's the one that's going to stand up? Who's going to be the one that sticks out and says, hey, this is what we should do. This is the way that we should love this person. This is the way we should go out of our way to serve our teacher. All right, so you can lead even at a young age. And parents, this is for us. If you're thinking like, well, what is my leadership role? You're here tonight because you're a leader in your home. And so we want to lead for Jesus. And so while these things are happening probably all at the same time, there are going to be different ways that we as a church are looking at these and saying, all right, how are we making sure people are learning from Jesus? And how can we look at people's lives and say, are you loving like Jesus? And finally, are you leading for Jesus? So this discipleship pathway is one that as parents, we want to make sure is true in our life, and then grow our kids up in this, pray for them, model this for them in our homes. So that's one thing, again, hear more at Recall and then in the future, but just wanted to introduce that to you tonight. So that's consider. The next thing we need to do is create. How do we as a church help you create family worship opportunities in your homes? And one of the greatest things since I've been here is to hear all the different ways that you guys do this. And for some of you, maybe it was something you didn't do in the past, and now you are. And so encouraged by that. But again, if I went through and said, how does your family do this? We would get all sorts of different answers. So how do we as a church try to help prepare you and equip you to make sure that your family is setting aside intentional time throughout your day, throughout your week, to spend it with the Lord? So the first thing for daily things, this is usually what we talk about daily. Can we read, sing, and pray, which can take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, a half hour, however long you want. Is there a consistent time where you're daily as a family engaging with God in His Word, in prayer, and in singing? So those are the kind of daily things. So how do we equip you? One is the workshops. So we have the parent workshops that a lot of times we're trying to equip you in these types of things, these tools that you can use in your home. If you were part of the class in January, we talked about a lot of these different things that you can do in your home to make sure that you're creating those opportunities regularly. Second thing is weekly. So what are the things that maybe we can do weekly? Workshops, of course, can help with that, but also our newsletters, trying to get you guys resources, trying to highlight different things for you so that you can maybe add these into your home, into your conversations and stuff. Things like some of the tragic things that happen in this country. I've sent some things out before, like how do you have these conversations with your kids when bad things happen? How does this work in your home? The other one is monthly. We pretty much almost always have some type of family ministry event, service opportunity that you can take advantage of as a family throughout the year. And so, again, what do you do monthly to create those opportunities? Hopefully a lot of different things. But we as a church are going to try and create some very special ones for you. And then finally, yearly. The best one that I can think of for this, how we do this yearly, is our Lake Geneva Youth Camp partnership. So the Schusters and the Biergas were up at Lake Geneva Youth Camp this afternoon for their pre-camp kind of kickoff party, which was a lot of fun. And so we're looking forward to a great summer. And so some of you guys take advantage of Unplugged, which is the family camp. Some of you guys take advantage of boys camp, girls camp. We have mother-daughter weekend. They now have a father-son weekend, by the way. They have marriage retreats and all those different things. So we as a church, with our partnership with them, we want you to take advantage of that. And so would encourage you to look at those different opportunities on their website to do that. So when you look at this and you're saying, all right, how do we create this stuff in our home? We can look at it daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly. And again, hopefully you see the different ways that we're trying to equip you with those things to use in your home. So that's create, capture. This is the one that it's difficult. We want to capture teachable moments throughout our kids' lives in our home. As I've often said, create is the one that we're responsible for, and we need to create these things in our family so that it's normal to talk about God. It's normal to talk about the Bible and to pray. But capture are the things a lot of times that kids will remember. They might not remember a specific night of family worship ever, but they will remember when something bad happens at school and they come home and they talk to their mom and dad, and you sit them down and you engage with them. You start talking with them at a heart level. It's amazing to think about that stuff. But kids, if there's a bully at school and you are having a really hard time with it, and you come home and you're able to talk to your parents about that, that will stick with you. And so parents, we need to take advantage of every single capture opportunity that we have. The problem is we're often not in a good place to have these conversations because we got somewhere to be in 5 minutes. And so we want to try to prepare you as much as possible. And also, some of these things are big issues. These are big things. And at some point, all of us are going to have the first time for every conversation. There's going to be a first time for this situation and this situation, this situation. We're not always prepared for it. So we want to make sure that you are prepared. So a couple resources that I'm going to mention and I will make available to you after this meeting. is the Rooted Reservoir. This is through Rooted, which is a youth ministry thing, website and ministry, and they have these amazing parent videos that you can watch in your home, just as parents, to kind of talk through some really big topics. And it's all geared towards parents, with parents and with youth pastors and stuff that are putting this all together to make sure that you have resources to talk about your kids with some really big topics. And so they're just keep pumping these out, and a great one to look into. Access is a ministry for families. Highly recommend Access. I've told some of you before, maybe some of you subscribe to some of their stuff. It is free, and then they have this culture translator that gets sent to you once a week, and this just says, here's what's going on in culture, parents, and this is the things you need to be aware of. These are the things you might hear from your kids. These are the things that their friends are talking about, and it tries to not only give you an update on them, but how do you engage with your kids on these things, okay? So we make sure we're as prepared as possible. We have Right Now Media, which many of you are familiar with, that has great resources you could use as a family, just for your kids, just for you as parents. And then finally, this is one that I'll be purchasing soon, Holy Sexuality subscription. So Christopher Yuan, who's a professor at Moody, and we use his book, Holy Sexuality, a lot in our series, The Better Yes, back in 2020, right before the pandemic. But he now has a whole kind of online class that you can use as a family, as parents. And so I'm going to buy a subscription for our church and then make that available to you guys so you can watch that. What I've seen so far, it's excellent. It's going to get you some really great conversations. So highly encourage that. But these are the types of things that will help prepare you for those moments that we often aren't prepared for or expecting to happen in a day. I'm sure you could look back, maybe even in the last month, and think of that one conversation that your child tried to have with you. Kids, maybe you remember that one situation that you had, that maybe you went to your parents and talked to them about it. And we want to make sure we're capturing those and taking advantage of those moments every time. So parents, if your child comes to you with something serious, maybe the next 5 minutes, you're going to be late. Right? There's going to be something that's going to be left because it's really important to take advantage of these capture moments. Because the reason I say that is because we're forgetful people. We don't always come back to them later. It'd be nice to always come back to them, but it's very hard to do that. So, we want to take advantage of those moments. So this is one way that we're going to try and equip you by providing these resources. And then finally, and I'm going to ask Jackie if you don't mind passing at least one out to each family. We've got a new milestone packet. We talk about celebrating milestones in the life of our families, in the life of our kids, looking very specifically at spiritual milestones in our home. And so what you're going to see in the milestone packet is something that hopefully you can use and that we are going to use as a church to celebrate the things that God is doing in the life of your children. I'll just make sure everybody's got one. Just one per family should be fine. Thanks. You want to take one? So what you're going to see is a brief description of each milestone on that first page, and I'll put them up here too. But 6 different milestones that we're going to focus on, that we want you to focus on in your home, and that we as a church are going to focus on and prepare you for. So I'm not going to go through this. I want you guys to read this on your own, talk about it as a couple, as a family. But these 6 things, now these 6 things could happen in order, like I have them here, and some of these things have to happen early. But of course, like some of these things are going to kind of be happening maybe at the same time, or maybe it's going to be a month in between them, or it's going to be 6 months in between them, or years between them. But these 6 things we really believe are important spiritual milestones in the life of our children. And so there's many different milestones to have and to celebrate in your family, and we would encourage you doing all that. But what can we as a church prepare you for and equip and then celebrate with you? And these 6 things we believe are going to be, hopefully, that chair just literally fell apart. The bottom just fell out. We're going to, these are the things that we are hopefully going to see over and over and over again in the life of our church. So, as you turn, what you're going to see is this kind of milestone page's description. This page here will take you through and give you a description of everything else you see in this packet on each individual milestone. So important for you. So I'll go through each one of those. I'm not going to go through each milestone, but I do want to give you kind of the big picture of what you're going to find with them. So the first thing that you're going to see is kind of that church celebration. How are we as a church going to celebrate? So for this, as a church, we want to celebrate the spiritual milestones in the life of our students and your family. Therefore, Cityview will have special classes, workshops, services, and ceremonies to celebrate with your family. And so that's what we're going to do. We want to celebrate this as a church. And so we're going to have opportunities to do that for each one of these milestones. The second thing, family celebration. We want to encourage you as a family to celebrate these occasions in unique ways, with meals that you might have, parties, other ideas that you might have where you can thank God for the work he is doing in the life of your children. So we're going to try and equip you with things that you can use for each one of these milestones. Then you got your parent and student equipping. So as a part of our family shepherding plan, which I'll talk about here in a second, and the milestones, we aim to equip you as parents and students. Throughout these pages, you will see various classes and workshops offered both for parents only and for parents and students. So one of the things I've done here a lot is have parent workshops, and now we're going to start to have parent and student workshops where we encourage you guys to come together. There's also some student-only workshops. We did one on reading the Bible back in February that we had, I think, roughly like 15 CityLink age up through high school come to. And so we'll want to continue to equip them and equip you, and then get you guys to have some conversations together. And then parent resources. Every milestone will have some resources listed at the bottom that are meant to be read by you as parents to help prepare for that next age and stage of life. All the resources that I included in here are ones that we have either downstairs by Kid City in the Parent Resource Hub, or things that we have in the library. So you can purchase those down in the hub. You can borrow them in the library. But of course, if you need other recommendations, ideas, you can always contact me, and I'll try to get you something that you need. So that's kind of that page that gives you those descriptions. And then if you go through and look at each one of the milestones, you'll see how that all plays out for that specific milestone in the life of your kids. And then if you turn over all the way to the back to the Parent University page, wanted to talk about this. For Parent University, so Parent University is now going to kind of be this overarching class. So think about like it is actually a university. So you're going to have lots of different classes that make up the university for your family. So what you can see there are things that are going to be mentioned in these different milestone pages, the different ways that we're going to equip and take advantage of these milestones. So the first one you see there is purposeful parenting. We just did this back in January of 2024, and so every other year I'm going to run this class. And so the next one isn't going to be for a little while because we just ran it, and then quite a few of you took advantage of that, so that's great. But that will be one that will be kind of more or less, well, I guess we're going to try and change it depending on some of the topics and the things that maybe you as parents want to look at in that class. So that's going to run every other year as part of the Explore Hour. Family Foundations now will be a class for any families newer to Cityview or participating in an upcoming parent commissioning service, so it won't apply to many of you, but these will be scheduled regularly in the fall and the spring. One that might apply to you is the Good News class. One night in the fall, we're going to have all preschool through third grade students and their parents come out for a Good News night. This is going to be a night where we're going to really have an opportunity to proclaim the gospel to your family and for your kids to have good conversation with them because we want to make sure all of our kids hear a clear gospel message, have a chance to engage with each other and with you. And so this will also be a very hands-on night. We're going to try and bring in the different 5 senses and everything so that they can have this great time learning about the good news. And so that will be scheduled every fall. And you can kind of see there the date for this fall will be October 23rd, 2024. We'll have an Extreme Family Makeover. This is a one-day class in the summer for parents of incoming 4th grade students. So if you're basically entering into CityLink, we're going to have a special class just for you. but just for the parents of these students to kind of talk through some things and how CityLink and City Stew, as your kid gets older, will impact your family life and some things you can do. And then the last one there is Step Up. This is a 3-week class in the winter. This is going to be for all 5th and 6th grade students and parents, scheduled every other year because we want them doing this during CityLink. And this will be an opportunity for them to, if you look at that one milestone of challenged, the church challenges boys and girls to take up the calling of biblical manhood and womanhood. And so we're going to do this together as families to walk through that. And then one other thing I wanted to mention for parents of kids in City Stew, in the last one, Entrusted, as we entrust our kids with the gospel as they're going to go out. The parent and student equipping, what we're going to do is we're going to have meetings with the family before the junior year, set up during the high school junior year and senior years to discuss important topics related to college choice, work, discipleship, what it's going to look like for them to be involved in a church somewhere else. And so those will be not necessarily classes, but more meetings that we would set up between myself, Jake, you, your student, so we can have that conversation. And one of the reasons we think that's important is we've had, obviously, a lot of students here go away to college, and a lot of the students that do really well spiritually are the ones who go in intentionally looking for ministries to get involved with in college and churches to get plugged into. When those two things happen, they are much better off spiritually, of course, than if they go and they kind of just like, I'm not really interested. And a lot of times it's just they don't know what they're looking for, or what church to go to, what statement of faith they should be looking at. Like, is this a good church? Is this not? And so we want to be able to have those conversations there. But also, if they don't go away to school and they're going to be local, whether that's school or just start work right away, what does that look like? How do they get more involved in the life of the church? So those will be a couple meetings that we will schedule with you. Okay, that's a lot. Okay, all this stuff is here. I want you to look through it. If you have questions and all that, and we'll communicate these things. But I definitely want you to kind of look through this as a family and start to see how these different things can be incorporated into the life of your family. So that's the milestones. I've got 2 more things that I'd like to talk through. These are more of the vision piece. These are things that are we're looking forward to doing this year. That's going to involve some planning, involve some of your involvement, as well as the involvement of the entire church. The first one, I talked about this in the Purposeful Parenting class back in January. But what we're looking to do this year is having these kind of link-up groups. These are small communities of like-minded parents who are committed to supporting each other in shared parenting choices. So what does this mean? There are essential issues that hopefully we all agree on in the Christian faith, and there are gray issues or areas of secondary importance that we're going to differ on. But maybe we don't differ from everybody in the church. So one of those things would be, how do we have technology use in our home? Will we have social media use for our kids? It might be things like dating. It might be things like our families don't do sleepovers, and other families don't do sleepovers, and our kids don't like that, but if they see that other families are doing the same thing, we can kind of talk to each other, and we can encourage those relationships with them. So I'll just use one example, would be phone use. So if you as a family have decided we're not going to give our kids a phone until a certain age or something, and we want to get together with other families and encourage you guys to have conversations together about these things. And support and encourage one another in these kind of choices that you've made. So what's going to happen is we're going to kind of basically do a survey and kind of find out where each family is on some different topics, and then I'm going to start encouraging people to kind of get together. One big reason for doing this is a lot of times for your kids, because they think they're the only one, right, that doesn't have something or is being kept from this or whatever. And so it's good to know that there's other families that say, why'd you make that choice? How can we encourage these types of things? If we don't let them do this, how can we do this together and encourage those things? So a lot more to come on that, but looking forward to these. And I know some of you probably already formed these organically. Like you have a family that you know has made a similar decision, and so you get together and talk about them. But we would love to have that be a place where people can go. School choices is another one. This would probably be one of our bigger groups, and just the decision that you made for education for your kids, of getting together with other families, so you can kind of talk through some of the struggles that maybe you have in those school choices, and then kind of have some conversation from there. So that's one thing that will be coming, working on that a lot over the summer. I've talked to some of you about this already, so I know that some of you are probably thinking about different topics or things you can talk through. The next one then is discipleship. So what we do here with trying to have people from our church in one-on-one, one-on-few relationships with kids in CityLink to CityStew is great, and I love it. And obviously, there's struggles with it. There's difficult times, seasons where you can't get together with your disciple as much. But for the most part, they're very healthy, and I think they're doing what they're supposed to do, helping encourage a student in their faith, and to have somebody else other than their parents to be a model for them in the Christian faith, to ask good questions, get in conversations with them. But something else that I wanted to do is how do we engage a larger number of our church family in intentionally working with our kids and our students. And this is kind of one of the things that we're going to look at doing, called Play with Purpose. So what this is discipleship groups that form around hobbies and areas of interest, okay? So really that kind of side-by-side discipleship. And I think this will engage the whole church in intentional discipleship in a way that for some of them, maybe sitting down with someone and trying to read a book or go through a Bible study just isn't what they're interested in. But they have wisdom to share. They have a common interest with someone. They have an expertise, and so they want to share that with someone, and at the same time can speak gospel truths into their life, can be involved. So these would not necessarily be every week. I'm thinking mainly kind of monthly and in smaller groups, not one-on-one. So if your child has a passion for crafting, right? Like we'll just call my mom and they could all go over there and craft with her because that's what she loves to do. And you guys know when you're side by side, you can just have good conversations. And so I'm hoping to get more people. We've got some people that are really into cars and fixing things. And there's some kids that just love that and want to have that experience. We've got other people who would love to teach cooking and do that, or art. And so just these different ways, and so this is on top of what they're already doing on their one-on-one discipleship. This is an opportunity for them to engage with other people at the church who have this expertise and passion that maybe they're just dabbling in to kind of see if there's something they like, or they have a passion for it, and they want to do that together. So these are things that I am just starting now to kind of talk to some different people that I know have an expertise or a desire to share this kind of hobby with someone else, and then we would start to form some groups. Now, these would not be super formal groups. These would be kind of run by the person who's interested in doing this and kind of setting up these times. So we've done these different things over the last 9 years that I've been here in pockets, but I would love for this to be something that's ongoing. So the possibilities are endless, of course. If you want to do music, if there's some guys that love to work out and they want to go to a gym or whatever, like there's opportunities all over the place for this kind of ministry. And it's something that you can take advantage of. And I hope a lot of the kids would be interested in just saying, oh yeah, I love this kind of hobby. I'd love to share this with somebody else. And then get into some really good conversation at the same time. So those two things kind of link up. Play with Purpose are things that are going to be kind of talked about a little bit more here in the near future. Ways that you can be involved, your students can be involved in them as well. So a lot of this communication will happen over the summer. So kind of what's next from here? I'm going to be sending all this information out to you electronically so that you have it. I'm going to start to kind of send out some of those surveys to kind of look at some of those big topics that maybe we as families are thinking about certain things or have made certain decisions to kind of see what other families are similar in that and how can we encourage and support one another in those decisions. And then also the kind of discipleship idea with the hobbies is trying to get some idea of like kind of what are your kids interested in, what would they like to do, and then start to see those kind of relationships form with our church family. So those are a couple things that will be happening pretty soon. One more thing that I want to mention then for fathers, starting hopefully this fall, I'm going to be, so kind of back up a little bit, I guess. So this year, this next ministry year, I'm going to be taking a year off from leading a journey group because I want to spend more time shepherding you guys, families. And so one of the ways that I can do that is kind of stepping back from that for a year to hopefully put a lot more time, energy, and effort into working with families and being available to you. One of the ways that I want to do that is a father mentorship idea. So that is it's something we all need. But fathers and husbands, so this is kind of looking at just a family shepherd ministry. Since we are the ones who are called to lead our families spiritually, doing it lovingly, what I'm looking at doing is kind of some quarterly events for family shepherds, and then having some fathers who are more advanced in years, we'll say, all right, who have wisdom, who have experience, who have had kids, raised their kids, have been married for a while, who have an opportunity, would love to sit down and just help us as fathers engage with our kids, engage with our wife at a different level. So more to come on that, but I want you to be aware of that because I'm excited about the possibilities of what that could be. And then for families and for the shepherding, a lot of the shepherding will kind of come off of this. It will revolve around this, but some other ideas too that I have for helping shepherd your families in the future. So that's all I have. We're going to give them just a couple more minutes to set up the ice cream. So are there any kind of big questions that you have from anything that I shared tonight that was confusing? Yes, I'll facilitate all of that, yeah. Once those things get started, I could see it being much more of a organic, but definitely facilitating, trying to connect people together, yep. That's a big goal of mine, is to make sure that people are in the right spots and know the right people. Yes, at some point, yes. One thing I would say, just a prayer request that I have for family ministry is, of course, Jake's transition. That's a huge one. So please be praying for that. And I would just say this is me just talking. I think I've said this before when Merritt came on, and too, is just give Jake a lot of grace, right? He's young. He's going to be working really hard. But he's never done this before. And so would encourage that. Just continue to support and encourage him as much as you can as he transitions. He's very passionate and very excited to get started. But we've all been there in a new area, a new job, a new ministry, and all of a sudden things start coming at you 100 miles an hour. And one of the things that I'm hoping to do is kind of prepare him for those types of things, and then help him be like, all right, you've got like 1,000 ideas. We can't do 1,000 ideas all at once, right? So we need to step in slowly but surely. So I would just ask you to be praying for that transition. Also for our family ministry events, be praying for us to just try and figure out the best way to, the purpose for our different events. So as we have seen some growth in some of these events that we've done, like the Easter egg hunt going from 40-something kids here to almost 80 kids here, that just changes the way that you do things. And you start to figure out how intentional can we be, what are the purpose of some of these events for outreach or for discipleship and stuff. So just be praying for that, because it's a good problem to have to kind of see like more people coming, but it will maybe also change our focus a little bit on some of these things and the way that we do them. So appreciate your prayers there. And I hope, this is my last thing for prayer, is I hope you guys are praying for each other, for other families. And so I've sent out things before. I think we sent it out pretty recently, was our kind of family directory So right now, you guys can look around. I think we have 15 families here, 16 families here tonight. But we have 34 families at our church. So not everybody's here, of course. We have 34 families that have kids in Kid City, CityLink, or City Stew. And so we had sent out kind of a directory of all of our families with kind of whatever was in the directory, photos or not, with names, so you could be praying for those. And so like our family, we have prayer sticks. I know some of you guys do prayer sticks or prayer cards and that kind of thing, but to be praying for each other. And just knowing we're all going through a lot of the same things. We're in the same culture. We're in the same church. And so hopefully we have a little bit more insight into how we can be praying for each other, because pretty sure our kids are all experiencing very similar things that we could be praying for. And then hopefully if you're engaged with other families, you know kind of some maybe bigger things that families are dealing with that you could be praying more specifically for. So just encourage you to keep doing that. I think that's one of the best things we could model for our kids is us praying for other families. So, all right, we are going to go downstairs. Kids, don't go. Don't run, okay? We're going to go downstairs. We're going to go out down there, and Miss Jackie and the team down there are going to have some ice cream sundaes. What I want you guys to know is just I'll be up here. I'll be downstairs. If you have questions specific to any of this, would love to answer those for you. But you can go downstairs, and then there's tables and chairs set up, so you're free to have ice cream sundaes. If you're waiting for your student to finish up youth group, you have a good amount of time. If you're not, when you're done, you're free to go. We're not coming back up here or anything like that. And then you should be hearing from me, getting a lot of this stuff electronically here very soon. So let me close this in prayer, and then we can head downstairs. Lord, again, I thank you for these families. I thank you for this church. I thank you for looking around and seeing how long a lot of us have been here at Cityview, and encouraging to see those who have been here for a while and those who have just started. And so we're grateful to see that, Lord, and excited to see this transition with Jake coming on, and how he's going to disciple and teach and lead our preteens and our teenagers in the important time of life that they're in. I pray that we continue to help all of us be thinking about kind of that next step for our kids, and how can we prepare and equip them for that next thing in their life. I pray that these kids grow up, Lord, to know you, to love you, to serve you, to never know anything other than loving you, and wanting to walk in obedience with you. And I pray that not only as we send students out from here to college and work and maybe moving to go do something else, Lord, that they have been equipped here at this church, that they've seen it modeled in their church and in their home, and they're ready for what you have for them. And we also pray for those students that will stay here and get involved in this church and will engage, Lord, that we will see even now some of the kids in these pews now that will be our ministry coordinators, will be elders in our church one day, and have a passion and desire to serve you, to lead their families well, and to do it all for your glory. So I thank you again, Lord, for this night and this time together. Jesus, we love you, and we pray this in your name. Amen.